Hey there. If I'm being honest, the only thing that excites me the most about a new year is starting a new journal. Not only because I love stationery, but mostly because I believe that we don't have to wait for a new year to make changes, as many believe. Change should be a constant throughout the year. The most important thing is how we react to change and how we deal with it and grow with it. So to me, it's not about the change of year as much as it is about the change of notebook. That being said, I want to show you the process of how I start a new notebook, a new bullet journal. In my current journal, I make 3 lists. One with all of my current collections. I go through them and decide which to keep and which to discard, especially because I didn't use them or because I did not feel they were practical or helpful. The next list contains new collections. As the year nears its end, I watch other bullet journal videos to gather new ideas. There's always lots of inspiration and new exciting things to try. And for the third list, I also go through my monthly setup to do the same, but that's a topic for my January video. So first things first, I already chose my notebook lineup for the year, and I am going to show you my first choice, which is the Tsuki Nara notebook from Notebook Therapy. This limited edition notebook was launched back in 2020, and I believe I got mine in 2021 when they relaunched it with craft paper. At the time, it was one of their coziest designs, not only because of its rich brown velvety cover and beautiful rose gold details, but also because it was inspired by the majestic dappled fawns that live wild in Nara Park in Japan. As all of their high-end notebooks, this features 160 GSM paper, 2 bookmark ribbons, a 5mm distance dot grid, a back pocket, and an elastic band closure. I will definitely do a separate video on this notebook because, like black, craft paper deserves a review on its own. Now I will dive into the setup by writing down my name. Nothing complicated, but I usually mess it up, so I decided to sketch it first. One of the new ideas to try is a grid spacing guide ruler, which I am really excited about. If you don't know, this guide spares you lots of time counting while you are setting your spreads up, and it's a common feature even in the notebook of the original creator of the bullet journal method. I used to make it on the back of the notebook, but a year ago I saw someone make a little ruler of its own, and I definitely wanted to try it. I am going to use the same line numbers for both vertical and horizontal counting, and I will only differentiate them with colors. I am marking the most common divisions that I usually use, which are halves, thirds, and even quarters. The idea is to personalize it to your preferences. I think it's the easiest way to just pull it out and move it around to calculate your spaces in no time, and I intend to keep it in the back pocket of the journal for easy access. Now I can go back to my list and move on to the next new item, which is my 3-in-1 key. This will include the method bullets, my week checklist, and the monthly reflection prompts. If you are familiar with the bullet journal method, you know that the bullets are the core of this organizational tool. And even though I know them by heart, I feel that if I don't add them, my journal is not complete. For a deeper explanation on how the bullets work, you can of course visit bulletjournal.com, or you can watch my video on how I use the method. I will be linking it in the info box. In a nutshell, they are the symbols that you use to prioritize, organize, and keep control of your tasks, events, or notes. The next set of keys are the ones I use on a daily basis for a weekly checklist that I have been adding to my weeks. Here, I keep track of 4 habits and of the way I spend my time. I have to make a separate video on how this works and how useful it has proved to be for my daily routines and productivity. Last but not least, I have been adding this monthly review at the end of each month with prompt questions that help me examine my performance in different areas of my life. Check the things that I got done and which are still pending, as well as to meditate on the lessons learned and the things that I am grateful for. Again, I will make a video on this topic that has proved to be truly helpful. Since I answer these questions every single month, having them in the key section will prove to be more practical than having to flip through the last month to find them again. As always, I make the key on a separate piece of paper that I then paste to the back of the notebook's cover for easy access. I usually use washi tape because it does not come off and it falls easily. I just have to really dent the part where it falls so that it stays in place, and in this way, I can easily leave it open to reference it as I journal on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. Moving on to the next spread, and that would be my cover. For this year, I saw several journalers use big, bold numbers, and I really liked the look of it. So I went for an industrial design and added lines to make it look as a sketch, which kinda has some meaning to it. Let me try to explain. At the beginning of the year, we all sketch our goals and projects, and so it seemed fitting to start with an idea of what the year will look like. In this case, the year is represented by the actual numbers of 2024. At the end of the year, what was a sketch will be solidified in what will be my year in pictures or my yearly reflection, meaning we will see what the sketch becomes. I hope that made sense. Now, I'm adding just some scrapbook paper from that notebook therapy set, which I have been loving. Adding bits of other papers is always a great way to easily embellish any page. It also adds personality and texture. And I will finish it all off with a selection of vintage-looking washi tape. And with it, you will start to notice the style that I am going for. From my pen and paint test on this craft paper, I realized that white or black on it looked the best. As for the rest of the colors, well, that's where it gets tricky. Each color might be a surprise, which is why I ended up doing swatches of most of the pens I wanted to try. And the verdict is, light or pastel colors will get almost lost for markers. And since craft paper is already a warm tone, warm colors will always look better. Which is why, as you will soon see, I had to repeat the whole cover all over again. I intended to use wash and a sort of blue shade, but that ended up being a huge mistake. So here I am cutting a page from the back of the notebook, which I will use as a patch to cover the painting that I did not like. As you can see, that blue looks awful to me. This is the best way to just start over when you are dissatisfied with what you have done. Starting from scratch might take more time, but I definitely think that it's more important to be happy with how your spreads look. It just promotes a happier journaling experience. After swatching my alcohol markers, I fell in love with how they look on craft paper, and that's what I decided to use for the cover. There's a definite vintage vibe to the finish you get when they set, and the colors from the skin set that I own are the perfect match with this paper. They happen to have all of the fawn and forest shades that I need, and I only have to add some details with Prismacolor pencils. It's funny how I was worried after using the blue wash, almost regretting having chosen the craft paper, but after using these artisan markers, I was back to being inspired and loving the process. So never allow a mistake to ruin the moment. That's how creativity flourishes, when you challenge it and start to look for other routes to get what you want. Embrace mistakes. They are part of your growth as an artist, and a big aid when you're looking to develop your own style. I finished the cover with white gel pen because I wanted the words to pop out of the page, and I just loved the end result. That style definitely resonates a lot more with who I am and what I was going for. And as usual, I added a splatter of shimmering watercolor, which will never fail on any type of paper. It's the perfect final touch that adds that whimsical vibe that I wanted my spreads to have. And it's perfect to cover the blue monster that attempted to take over. I came up with a hack using wash to cover or correct mistakes on craft paper. I mixed some colors to try and replicate the natural tone of the paper, and so far so good. As you can see, it does the job. Now I can glue my new cover so that I can forget all about that awful blue. And now we are talking. That is definitely a much better sight. It's gentle to the eyes and totally reflects my style. All that is left is to add some washi tape to completely hide the division in the paper and make the whole spread cohesive and harmonious. In the end, I was very pleased with how it turned out, and that little sleeping fawn looks just beautiful on that cover. Let's move on to the year at a glance. This has been a constant in all of my agendas and bullet journals, and it's probably one of the spreads that I go to the most. Having the whole year in one page is not only useful, but I think it's aesthetically pleasing as well. For the font, I wanted a vintage fairy tale vibe, and I found this that is called Rumble Brave on thefont.com, which is where I always go for inspiration. It has the perfect design that reminds me of that first elegant phrase that starts all fables. Once upon a time. I use my alcohol markers here because on the back I have a double sheet from the cover that I glued, so there is no danger of bleed through. And one of the things that amazed me from this paper is that alcohol markers actually don't bleed through as easily as they do with the white paper. Keep on the lookout for my review video on this notebook because there were a couple of nice surprises that I want to share. As you can see, I am using these simple stencils that I got on Amazon to add the numbers of the month. This is an easy yet cool way to differentiate each month, and I just love overlapping stuff. Then I spent some time adding all of those numbers, and here one of my hacks is to always use pencil first. That way I have been avoiding to make mistakes on my calendar, and though it takes more time, you save the time that you could spend on patching or correcting all the mishaps. Here you're going to see that I had to blur my thumb because it was a different day and I forgot to cover my wound with a band-aid. I happened to have my first kitchen knife accident and my nails saved the tip of my finger from coming off, so the sight of it can be upsetting to the faint-hearted. That's why I opted to blur it out rather than delete the footage. Anyway, here I am setting my goals page. This is a spread that I discontinued by the second year of bullet journaling because I read somewhere that it's better to have intentions rather than goals. But as I came to find out, it works better for me if I set goals. The truth is, it all depends on personal preferences, on how you feel about each term. To me, an intention sounds more gentle, less pressuring, and something that you can take your time with or even discard, whereas a goal is something definite, the ultimate achievement, what we work towards and what we want to get no matter the cost. I feel that intention also implies how we plan to get to our goal, the things we do or the steps we take in the process. So for me, writing down definite goals is a lot more motivating, especially when the process will be gradual. Having a page with my goals and constantly seeing them is a daily reminder that helps me to keep on track and to stay focused. There's of course another page where I can set my intentions, plan my moves, design my projects, and keep track of the steps to take in order to achieve my goals. But having a dedicated space for the trophies that I can win, so as to say, is definitely something that I want to have at the beginning of my journal. Ultimately, goals truly are the reason why the bullet journal came into existence. Because no matter if they're small or big, our life depends on our goals. Every day consists of the things we do to achieve them, and our journals are both a record of those things and a tracker that helps us be in control and get to the finish line. The next spread is the index. As Ryder Carroll, the creator of the bullet journal method, puts it, the index is your ultimate directory for navigating your journal, the ring that binds your entries together. His advice, and mine, is to never neglect it. Your future self will be grateful when you want to look back into a project, a memory, or a recipe. As Ryder adds, what makes the index great is its flexibility. Without pre-organized pages, you're free to use as much space as you need, wherever you need it, for your ideas. I highly encourage you to follow the official bullet journal accounts on social media. They constantly seek to help you understand and apply their basic method, which focuses on productivity. Here in my channel, I focus on my creative process as well, but I am always on the lookout for new ideas and simpler layouts which writer Carol specializes on. Let's move on to the future log, which is a key element of the bullet journal method. Since the method is built one day or 1 week at a time, this is where all upcoming commitments live and where long-term planning takes place. It will help you plan and organize events, tasks, and important dates that extend beyond the current month, while ensuring that you don't forget important events or deadlines. There are countless ways to set this up, but I have found the 2-page spread to be the most useful. It has all the space that I need and sometimes even extra, because I tend to use the monthly log a lot more. Just like the year at a glance, I like to write all the month's numbers myself, but you can always print them, use stamps, or don't add them at all and just write down the numbers of the days that are important as you go. Here, I will be using my favorite stamps again to add the first 3 letters of each month. Stamps are an easy way to get your lettering done in a very elegant fashion. I personally use them a lot. So after adding all the numbers, the final touch, just like with the index, is to add those wood lines to the pages, reminiscent of how the pages of old children's books used to be richly decorated, back when typography was exquisite and expensive. I also added rose vines, which add that extra fairy tale touch, and a princess-like vibe that completes the vintage infancy style. And this takes me to my next topic. It's no surprise that for my initial setup in a new notebook, I am mainly inspired by the cover, so this time it's no exception. The central figure is the fawn, of course, but the notebook design reminds me of an old fairy tale, especially because the cover is made of fabric, just like I said, the way that old books used to be. And so I am definitely going for a vibe that reminds me of old souls, memories from infancy, innocence, and fables, those that we used to love when we were kids, and that will always make us feel like we are home. This time I wanted to try to use simple markers. These are from the set of Crayola Colors of the World, and I am going to try to convey how much I loved using them on this particular paper. For instance, unlike white paper, here you can really see the streak that the markers usually leave. It's as if the paper slowly absorbs the ink, allowing you to blend it as you go. So as a result, you get a lovely watercolor-like effect with blocks of colors that look solid, yet dimensional. You can add more color to simulate depth or just mix colors. I then just added frame and some washi tape, and as you can see, it looks pretty similar to the effect that I get with alcohol markers, but with the advantage of no bleeding through. With the added spark from the metallic watercolor, I definitely feel that Bambi just entered the room. This is where I write down the steps of my routines, as well as the supplements that I need to take on a daily basis. For my next spread, I'm going to speed it up because it will be a simple frame on which I will set up my vision board. Vision boards are an excellent tool to both manifest what you want and to have a constant reminder of your goals. I purposefully left it empty right now because I want to make a video on how to put one together. My next couple of spreads are for my finances and for my car. Ever since I started bullet journaling, I have been trying to find the best way to keep track of money movements, and I am still in the process of deciding which layout works best. By the way, I am open to suggestions. But this time I will try to keep it simple and just add income and expense summaries for each month in this section, and I will probably add an extra tracker on my weekly spreads. So we're going to see how that works. As for the car, my brother, who is passionate about cars, has always taken care of anything and everything that has to do with my vehicle. So I just think it's time for me to start learning about a car's needs and keep track of the different oil changes, service times, and all that jazz. So I am going to ask my brother to help me put together a spread that can help me keep my car in good shape and avoid any unwanted incidents. Here I aim to draw my Golf in a vintage style, and I will just finish both spreads by, of course, adding the wood frames, some washi tape, and the watercolor spark. Moving on, the deer that I am about to draw is probably my favorite out of all the ones that I drew on this setup. And again, these Crayola markers were definitely a hit on the craft paper. With this drawing, I realized how much I love the deer's beautiful design, its tones, its white details, its eyes, and it's in the moments like this that I see and feel how much I enjoy being creative in my bullet journal. When I succeed at making something plain look really pretty, that satisfaction pushes me even more to make the best use of it, and the whole process is just so much more enjoyable for me. I never tired out of saying that the basic bullet journal method is not about art. You don't need to do these drawings or even add washi tape to bullet journal successfully. But the method will be what you want it to be. So in my case, I don't see myself bullet journaling without my personal creative touch. And if you're here, it must be because you appreciate that side of the journaling world as well. So thank you for being here. It means the world to me when you comment how much my art inspires or helps you relax. I hope that this year I will be more efficient at uploading more content, not only about the creative part, but also about the productive side of it, which in the end is what has helped me the most to move forward in my life. I am adding the final details to my When Did I Last spread, which is to keep track of the repetitive things that I must do throughout the year. And well, the master to-do list spread is self-explanatory. The last spreads at the beginning of my notebook will be my go bag and a new exciting collection that will help me with mental health. First, for the go bag, as you can see, I simply make a checkup list of the items that need to go in there, and I usually make an inventory once a year. I replace what needs to be replaced, like the unperishable food, and in general just make sure that everything is fresh and tidy. I live in a hurricane and flood prone area, so my go bag is tailored to those needs. But a go bag is something that I consider essential for every single person living on this planet. So make sure that you look up what you need to get for your own particular region. Since I haven't asked about what I include, I will insert a list of my items here so that you can screenshot it for future reference. My last spread, like I said, is one that I'm really excited about. I got the idea from Charisse T, who is a very talented bullet journaler, and to me this idea can be a life changer. I will call it In Case Of. Basically, you will add 5 or as many cards as you want into an envelope, and you will assign one negative emotion to each card. The emotions that you tend to struggle with the most. And then you're going to write down quotes, phrases, verses, memories, or you could even add images of the things that will counteract that negative emotion. So anytime you feel the need, you can just reach out and take a moment to pause, breathe, meditate, and calm down. I personally look forward to putting it to use. I'm sure that it's a lovely way to try and deal with the emotions that otherwise might freeze us and end up overcoming our thinking and our reasoning. I love the envelope idea, but you can make it as simple as just writing it all down on the page. The main thing is that you have what I would like to call an emotional go bag, ready for the emergencies. As I am finishing the frames, you can see that I colored outside the lines, but not to worry, I have my custom-made wash correction paint that comes to the rescue. I am adding some final touches with washi and a series of vintage ladies that I feel that sort of represent my negative emotions ready to be tackled. One final checkup in my list of spreads, and I definitely got them all done, except for the last one, the 52-week challenge, which I am going to add on the back of the journal. I did this challenge for the first time this past year, and not only had a lot of fun, but also enhanced my journaling practice. I honestly didn't complete the challenge in its entirety, but I have a new idea for my monthly setups that will help me with that. This activity was created by the talented Yashi Corin and A Year of Planning, whom I follow on social media. This 52-week challenge has one prompt per week for different layouts that you can make in your journal. Some are more functional and some are just for fun. It's a super forgiving challenge. If a prompt doesn't resonate with you, or if you fall off for a bit, just jump back on it when you can. And of course, the fun part is sharing with the community and seeing what everybody comes up with. And that is it. Here is the final flip through of this brand new theme for the first half of 2024. I had a lovely time drawing those majestic, yet extremely cute deers and fawns. Overall, I think that craft paper will definitely be a daunting but fun challenge. I always enjoy taking my time to plan and sketch my yearly setups, so it usually takes a lot of time and effort, but the results are always rewarding. The best part, of course, is putting all of these collections to use, but the cherry on top is reading your comments on how much you like them, or if you learned something new, or even better, if you will try these spreads yourself. So I hope that you enjoyed this video as much as I did. Let me know what you think of it, which spreads you personally use, or if you have any video requests for this coming year. I am always grateful for all the support, for all the love. And so as usual, thank you so much for watching.